icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. The Clinton School Board approved its amended budget for fiscal year 2026 earlier this week, noting sharp increases in operational deficits, driven primarily by rising health insurance claims. At the Tuesday night Clinton Board of Education meeting, Superintendent Drew Goebel detailed a worsening deficit in the district's education fund. The fund is currently facing a negative balance of $3.89 million, a significant drop from the $2.3 million structural deficit originally anticipated when the budget was approved earlier this year.
Things I want to draw everyone's attention to. So again, the budget was approved earlier this year, and then the amended budget, after we get all the bills in, we can kind of see where things are at. So if you look at column C, then go down to 22, you see a negative fund balance of $3,894,996. That used to be around $2.3 million. So we already are negative budget, negative in the ed fund, which we've been for the last couple of years. Actually, I take that back. We've been in a negative budget for many years. So every year we typically are moving around $500,000 from working cash into the ed. But in the last couple of years, we've been moving significant amounts of money from the working cash into ed. So at the beginning of the year, I anticipated a negative balance of 2.3, and now we're at 3.8. So if you can look down below, you can see how I have adjusted for that. We did a working cash transfer of $5 million, and that is on line 27. So,
according to Goebel, the district operates under a self-funded model where the district covers its own medical claims up to a stopgap threshold. Clinton schools ran $1.15 million over budget this year alone.
Two contributing factors. Now, again, the ed fund is looking at salaries and benefits, but also all the supplies, materials, purchase services, capital outlay projects. So everything is more expensive. But the big two things that I want to draw everyone's attention to is special education and the cost of tuition. That is over $1 million. So when we have students go to a different school, that costs money for the district. So the original budget was around $800,000, and the amended budget is a little over $1 million. So a difference of a little over $215,000. That is not the big one. The big hit is health insurance. So when I did the budget earlier this year we have as a reminder, we have a self-funded insurance plan. So the district covers all the claims up to a point, and then at that point, the stopgap kicks in. So long story short, we are over budget by $1,154,000, $1,154,966,000, $1.1 million over in health insurance. So next year when we have our rates, they're anticipated to go up 28%.
Minor deficits were also logged in the operations and maintenance fund, which finished $22,000 in the red due to escalating utility rates and ongoing athletic facility upgrades. Goebel notes those expenses included tree removal, stadium fence repairs, drainage improvements, and lighting adjustments on the baseball field, coming on the heels of the district's recent $5 million multi-sport facility project.
The other item is operations and maintenance. You see that in column D, 22. So originally, I expected we were going to be in the black by $284,000. But you can see we're in the red by $22,000, which is not, in the whole grand scheme of things, $22,000 in a multi-million-dollar budget. But the contributing factors is mainly due to athletic upgrades. So besides the over $5 million we spent on the football field and track and lights and all that, we've had other expenses this year. So the ball fields need an adjustment for lights, so a little over $13,000. And we've had tree removal, cameras system, peri-weather system, fencing, and then some upgrades to the track and field. So those are what contributed to that difference. The other major difference is gas and electric. So we are over by about $100,000 than I anticipated. Again, amended budget looks at everything after a full year of expenses. So I do my best to try to gauge, but then those items that I mentioned, you don't always know.
To balance the shortfalls, Goebel indicates that a $5 million transfer was made. He adds the adjusted tax levy allocations to pull accumulated surplus funds out of the district's tort and transportation funds, transferring that revenue into working cash bonds to support the education fund.
The other item in red you see is capital projects. That's actually, I anticipated this. So if you look in the very top column, line 3, it says the beginning budget, beginning fund balance, it's $592,000. A couple years ago, we sold capital project bonds, again, for the second phase of the football field. So we needed to sell bonds to do that. So those are just leftover. So if you flip over to the very last page, you can see the estimated fund balance at the end of the year. We're actually in the black by $42,000. So that's just leftover money from the the capital project bonds we did. That is the amended budget, but something I do want to bring our attention to is so the budget form that I complete has multiple tabs, and I'm just showing you the budget summary. If anyone wants to see the full budget, I'll be glad to share that.
Board member Tammy Ennis urged the community not to view the amended budget as cause for panic, emphasizing that despite the heavy operational deficits, the district maintains a healthy overall ending fund balance. Additionally, she highlights that long-term fiscal relief is on the horizon, pointing to the power plant expansion projected to be larger than expected, which will make the facility a massive property tax revenue asset for the school district moving forward.
I guess I don't want to present this as if it's scary. We do still have a good ending balance, and we do still have a power plant that is going to be bigger than ever. And with Meta buying the power, that's a positive thing.
It is a positive thing. It's a good thing that in November we created the bonding plan, because if we wouldn't have done that in November, we would not have the money. And next year, I'm going to add another $6.66 million because of this. And if we as a board did not have done that, we would be in a very bad position right now.
We've done bonds every year. I've been on the board for 7 years.
Not this much.
While the reserves of the district have fallen off in recent years, Goebel and Ennis point to the fact that the district has been able to use bonds to maintain its operations as a good thing.
One of the tabs is a deficit budget summary. So you can see right here, and I highlighted it, we have an unbalanced budget. So at this point, we don't need to have a deficit reduction plan at this time. Being in the red, almost $4 million, the state of Illinois is telling us that if we continue on this path, we'll have to do something drastic. That's what that tab is. So now I also have treasurer's reports. The first one you're going to get is May 2024. And then you can see this one is going to be the most current one, May 2026.
Are any of these differences due to the CPP, RT?
Actually, if anything, so we made we did pretty good for a couple years during COVID. It's still kind of the status quo. It's not, that would not be a huge factor. School districts like.
Went down, which we knew it was going to go down.
It did, but no, we're not going to save millions of dollars because of it. I mean, we're in the whole $4 million. But again, looking at May of 2024, we had a end fund balance. So if you look at the very bottom on May 2024, we had a fund balance. This is all of our funds, $35,362,020.
The district fiscal year 26 budget ends on June 30th. Get news anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Spring just has a way of putting a little more energy into everything. Brighter days, warmer air, and more reasons to get out and enjoy it. Your home should keep up with that. At Hickory Point Garden Homes, you'll have your own one-story duplex with bright open spaces, a private patio, and neighborhood walking paths just outside your door for that perfect stroll in the spring sunshine. You can spend less time managing your home and more time enjoying the warm spring days ahead. See what that feels like at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, Illinois, and step into comfortable living for $55 and better.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Ace now offers free assembly and free delivery, so it's never been easier to get a great grill for your family, like a Weber gas grill, a Traeger wood pellet grill, or a Big Green Egg charcoal grill. Only at your neighborhood Ace. Around the block. What you need in stock. With people who know their grills.
This is Brad from Gibson Ace Hardware in Clinton, Illinois. Stop in to see us, the helpful place at 114 North Madison Street, Clinton.
See participating store for details.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. Pete Crow Armstrong laced an RBI double in the 10th inning, powering the Chicago Cubs to a 4-3 victory Thursday night over the sinking New York Mets and a sweep of the four-game series. The Cubs went 7-0 against the Mets, outscoring them 51-24. The Mets suffered their sixth straight loss to fall a season-high 13 games under 500, the furthest below 500 they've been since 2023. Crow Armstrong, a former first-round pick of the Mets who was sent to the Cubs in the Javier Baez deal in 2021, delivered the tie-breaking hit off Brooks Raley, who is 2-3. Michael Conforto, Alex Bregman, and Ian Happ had RBI hits in the sixth when the Cubs' runs were unearned thanks to a pair of errors. Chicago's final 8 runs of the series were unearned. Jacob Webb is 2-2 and worked around a walk in the ninth, and Trent Thornton retired all 3 batters he faced in the 10th for his second career save. Dansby Swanson, who had 15 RBIs in the first 3 games to tie the Cubs' franchise record for a series of any length, went 0 for 4. Eric Wagaman and Jared Young homered for the Mets. Matthew Boyd, pitching for the first time since injuring his left knee, playing with his children on May 6th, allowed 8 base runners, 4 hits, and 4 walks, but struck out 4 in 4 2/3 scoreless innings. Mets starter Freddie Peralta allowed 3 runs, all unearned, and whiffed 5 in 5 2/3 innings. Cubs right-hander Colin Rea is 5-5 with a 4.99 ERA and is set to start Friday at Milwaukee against right-hander Jacob Nisarowski, who is 8-3 with a 1.45 ERA. Mets rookie right-hander Zach Thornton is 0-1 with an 8.31 ERA. Will be recalled from AAA Syracuse on Friday to face Phillies right-hander Zach Wheeler, who is 7-1 with a 2.11 ERA. In scores from around the MLB yesterday, the Tampa Bay Rays routed the Kansas City Royals 13-2, while the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Seattle Mariners 5-1. The Athletics beat the San Francisco Giants 9-6, while the Houston Astros took down the Detroit Tigers 2-1. The Philadelphia Phillies beat the Washington Nationals 10-5, while the Texas Rangers beat the Toronto Blue Jays 6-5, and the Boston Red Sox beat the New York Yankees 6-3. The St. Louis Cardinals were set to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks, however, that game was postponed. The United States only wanted to get through its final World Cup group stage match Thursday night without an injury or a red card, while Turkey was playing for a face-saving victory to end a dismal tournament. Turkey beat the U.S. men's national team by a final score of 3-2. Kaan Ayhan scored the final kick of the match to send Turkey past the U.S. in the 8th minute of stoppage time for its only win of the World Cup. The result was meaningless to the Americans, who will meet Bosnia-Herzegovina in the round of 32 on Wednesday. Coach Mauricio Pochettino sent out 9 new starters, including 8 who were starting a World Cup match for the first time. The U.S. tied it early in the second half on a goal by Sebastian Berhalter, and the Americans got within a few seconds of an unbeaten run through the group stage. Austin Trusty scored in the 3rd minute for the Americans, who beat Paraguay and Australia by a combined 6-1 to book their place in the knockouts. Pochettino fielded nearly an entirely new lineup for this low-stakes game, notably resting all 4 key players who picked up yellow cards earlier in the tournament. Christian Pulisic entered in the 58th minute. However, the AC Milan midfielder hadn't played since the first half of the Americans' opener due to a calf injury, and he was involved in a couple of early scoring chances before getting beaten on the wing on Turkey's winning goal. Arda Güler and Okran Kirkçu scored in the first half of a resilient performance by Turkey, which had already been eliminated after losing its first 2 matches, despite largely dominating both statistically. Turkey improbably won in the 8th minute of stoppage time when Can Uzun got the ball in space in the back post and pushed it past sprawling goalkeeper Matt Turner to Ayhan, who slid to knock it home. Trusty's goal was the Americans' 7th of the tournament, tying their scoring record for any World Cup before knockout play even begins. It was also the 173rd goal of this tournament, breaking the record for the most combined goals scored in a World Cup set in Qatar 4 years ago, and doing it in 4 fewer matches. LaMelo Ball is the latest NBA star with a new home. The Charlotte Hornets agreed to trade Ball, their starting point guard, and Josh Green to the Minnesota Timberwolves for power forward Naz Reid and a 2023 unprotected first-round draft pick, 3 first-round pick swaps, and 3 future second-round picks. The 3 first-round pick swaps will be in 2028, 2029, and 2030. The Hornets also get 3 second-round picks in 2029, 2032, and 2033. The Hornets quickly moved to agree on a 3-year, $74 million contract with the new projected starting point guard Kobe White following the trade, who was acquired in a trade with the Chicago Bulls. An all-star in 2022, Ball has struggled with ankle and foot injuries during his career, but he played in 72 games last season and averaged 20.1 points, 7.1 assists, and 4.8 rebounds per game, helping the Hornets win 44 games before being blown out in the play-in tournament by the Orlando Magic. Ball finished 2nd in the league in three-pointers made last year with 272, just 1 behind rookie teammate Con Knuppel. But Ball was never able to get the Hornets to the playoffs in his 6 seasons with the club, with injuries playing a role. Before this season, Ball missed 141 games over the previous 3 seasons. Reid, who is 26, has spent all 7 of his NBA seasons with the Timberwolves. After reaching the Western Conference Finals in 2024 and 2025, the Timberwolves stagnated at times last season and were ousted in 6 games in the second round of the playoffs by the runner-up San Antonio Spurs. President of Basketball Operations Tim Connolly has never been shy about aggressive pursuits of roster improvement, from the package of draft picks he sent to the Utah Jazz in 2022 for defensive ace Rudy Gobert shortly after taking the job in Minnesota, to the stunning trade of franchise cornerstone Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks 2 years ago. The 6'11" Reid, who went undrafted out of LSU in 2019, worked his way into an excellent offensive player with a shooter's touch from the outside, who has the quickness to get to the rim. Playing through a painful shoulder injury this season, Reid appeared in 77 regular season games while averaging 13.6 points and a career-best 6.2 rebounds per game. This trade is expected to be included as a part of a transaction in which Minnesota agreed to send Julius Randle to Brooklyn in a deal that involved the Chicago Bulls. It will create an NBA record trade exception of nearly $41 million for the Hornets. The deals cannot be finalized until July 6th, when the league moratorium on such moves is lifted. It's another blockbuster for the league, which has seen Giannis Antetokounmpo getting traded by Milwaukee to Miami for a package that includes Tyler Hero, a move that followed the Randle deal before the draft. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
If you're looking for music that stood the test of time, join me, Randy Miller, Sundays from 6 to 8 a.m. on 95.9 WEZC. I host Steady Ground Replay, a 2-hour journey back to the roots of contemporary Christian music. From the songs that started a movement to the hits that formed our foundation, it's 2 hours of timeless encouragement. Steady Ground Replay, standing on the music that built our faith. Sundays from 6 to 8 a.m. on 95.9 WEZC.
SIU Center